Well, we are the American Registry for Internet Numbers. We are a non-profit, member-based organization. Everything we do is community-based, so you can walk in off the street and have a say in our policy development process. So who we give address space to, how much address space we give out, it's all dictated to us by the internet community as a whole. You don't have to be a member to participate. You can just wander in off the street. There's a mailing list that runs year-round, and we also do 2 meetings a year in person in various locations throughout our region, which is Canada, the United States, and parts of the Caribbean. So we manage IP address space, which includes, or we manage all internet numbers, which includes IPv4, IPv6, and also autonomous system numbers.
Sure.
Where we are with IPv4, which is what we've been using since the dawn of internet time, we're down to about 12.5% of IPv4 remaining. So for the past 2 years, ARIN has been on an extended outreach campaign doing things like interop and speaking engagements and other trade shows, just trying to get the word out that we are running out of IPv4, and networks that want to keep growing cannot count on ARIN being able to keep giving IPv4 addresses, because at this point we're about 2 years away from running out of IPv4.
12.5% sounds like a big number to me, because there's what, 4.3 billion numbers, so there's still
4.3 billion numbers.
There's still a large number. Who are making the requests? Because I would assume that most of the requests have already been made, and most of the C-class blocks, whatever, have long since been allocated. So is it still coming from carriers, ISPs, government?
Yeah, yes, it's still the big carriers. They're still growing their networks. They're still coming in regularly for more address space. Some of the address space has been returned sporadically over the past few years, but even getting large blocks back only doesn't extend IPv4 by that much. We are allocating about 10/8s a year. /8 is, there are 256 /8s in the entire v4 pool, and we're down to I think 30 of those are left. So, and allocation rates are speeding up just a little bit. So that's why we're saying we've got about 2 years left.
When you talk about the returning of addresses, because I've heard some vendors say, okay, that could be a large amount or not. Is there a quantifiable number that you can attribute to that?
Not really. It's been a while since we've had any significant amount returned. But the thing is, even if one university that got a ton of address space in the 80s before ARIN existed, even if we got a /8 back, that would last us roughly a month. So there's no major reclamation effort underway at ARIN. The community hasn't said, go get what's not being used. Yeah. Because the community consensus is that it's probably just not worth the effort. Just cut your losses. V4 is about to run out. Head for V6 is the basic community consensus, and that they haven't asked ARIN to go actively reclaim address space.
Good. Now V6 is enabled on most networking gear today. Mm-hmm. So what's the stoppage? What's the barrier to adoption for IPv6? Is it just it's not technology, or is it education, or is it something else?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things. It's partially, especially in ARIN's region, V4 is very entrenched. That's what everybody knows. That's what everybody's been using for decades. It's sort of an if it ain't broke, don't fix it mentality. So we still have V4 address space, and so they just keep using that. And there's been a bit of a chicken and egg situation in that nobody has it because nobody wants it, and nobody's using it because nobody has it. So we've been trying to build the business case for IPv6, which is basically, if you don't have a way to connect with IPv6 only users in the future, you will lose business. You will not be able to grow your network. You will lose customers because you cannot connect to them unless you come up with a solution that will allow you to operate V4 and V6 and therefore keep reaching everyone on the internet.
And when you talk about being able to reach 6 over 4, I know there's 6 over 4 and 4 over 6 different tunneling, and then there's dual stack. If I just put in a dual stack gateway just so that I could expand my existing addresses, I still keep the 4. So is there a real need just then for dual stack adoption, or 4 over 6 or 6 over 4 as opposed to native V6, or how does that balance out?
What we've been recommending is your edge-facing devices, dual stack those. That way, no matter who's trying to reach, say, your web server can respond. So we've been saying just start there. If you don't want to redo the core of your network, it's not a problem. You don't need to do that.
I'm a big fan of comic books, so if you don't mind, if you could just talk to me about these, where
Sure.
that came from, what's that all about?
Absolutely. We have 3 issues of our comic book. Issue number 1 was we were looking for a fun way of getting the information across, because when you look at a sea of fact sheets, they can get a little boring. So we thought comic books are the way to go, where it's a highly technical crowd. There are a lot of people that grew up on comic books, maybe still love comic books. So we thought it would be
Every Wednesday, new Comic Book Wednesday.
Oh, well, see, there you go. So we thought it was a good method. So the first one is a little bit about who ARIN is, where we came from, our overarching ideals and goals and that sort of thing, talking about responsibility and saving the resources and that sort of thing. Issues 2 and 3 focus specifically on, issue 2 is specifically on IPv4 depletion, and IPv6, or issue 3 focuses more on IPv6 adoption. And so these 2 are clearly newer and have some updated artwork and things like that. But there's a lot of really good information in all 3. So
who's the supervillain?
We have Agent FUD. It's
Agent FUD.
Agent FUD. It's fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Sure.
So he's the supervillain and throughout, and they're an entertaining way of getting the same messages across.